Hello, everyone online. Um, I am your president, Bob Tremblay. This is the Warren Astronomical Society. We're meeting at Cranbrook Institute of Science and online. Are there any first timers here? No, we've got Ryan Adam. We do have a first timer. All right. Where did you hear about us? Most people hear about us online, but that works too. All right. So, you can renew your memberships via PayPal or our treasurer who is here today. He can take care of you. If you're interested in astronomy at the beach, which is an event that happens in September, the GLAC meetings are held over they're on Mondays now, aren't they? Yeah, they changed the time on that, so I got to find a new time on that. But we would like some WASP representation at these meetings, or more WASP representation at these meetings. Um, Start thinking about photos to submit for our calendar for next year. Our calendars are always really cool. We have a lot of cool pictures. So if you've taken an astrophoto or anything even remotely related to astronomy or the sky, send it in. We are going to form a committee and we will be gathering photos starting very, very soon. We are going to be switching to Zoom, and we're probably going to be doing, we will be doing this for the Macomb meeting. So the link on the meetup and further links will be Zoom links. So expect to see that. The board talked about switching the Macomb meeting to 7 p.m. We just like to throw that out there and see what people think about that. We're planning on starting it then a little early, shortening the president's report and the officer reports, and maybe getting out in time so that people can go to the restaurant afterwards. The board is pleased to announce that the 2023 Paul Strong Memorial Scholarship has been awarded to Macomb student Alexia Fields. This scholarship is our way of thanking Macomb Community College for providing a meeting place for us. And I would like to personally thank Dale Teamy for doing a lot of Dale Partin for doing a lot of numerical analysis and figuring out who our candidate would be. Thank you, Dale. Yeah, in the email he said he did all of this statistical analysis. My eyes are going like, oh my goodness, yikes. So, President's report here. My field of view article this month. I talk about exoplanets, and I'm doing research for a presentation I'm going to be giving to the Detroit Public Library in August on it, and probably here a little later on. But last Friday I was at the doctor's office and I completely geeked out. I just asked the doctor and her assistant if they'd heard the word exoplanets. So didn't know what they were, didn't know they existed. So we got a bit of work to do. Um, One of the things that's going on right now in June, a lot of you know I work with the Vatican Observatory Foundation, and right now the Vatican Observatory is hosting over in Rome the Vatican Observatory Summer School. This is something they do every other year, and this is the first time after COVID because that kind of kiboshed it for a couple of years. But this year's topic is really fascinating, and two lifetimes ago, I was a C++, programmer doing some data stuff. The current the topic for this summer school this year is machine learning and applying that to large astronomical data sets. And the instructors are going to be talking about using AI, which I'm sure you've all heard about recently, and machine learning to analyze data sets coming from, there's a lot of the astronomical surveys have just been increasing in data like exponentially, and it's starting to take machines to analyze them. And these instructors are all going to be talking about that. So I'm actually thinking of getting one of these people to talk to us. I'll get with Dale about that. So, first Vice President, Dale, you want to come up here and tell them what's going on with lectures for the upcoming year?
Hi, everyone. I'm really starting to need some more speakers, okay? Especially starting late this year or even early next year. So at the break, come up and talk to me if you have even a glimmer of an idea, all right? Thank you.
Alrighty. Let's see. Jeff McLeod, our observatory chair.
What did I promise you people? Guys, for the observing for the open house. And what did we get? We had some holes in the clouds. It was actually the best, worst open house I've ever had. The skies weren't great, but someone returned a telescope, so we decided to just use that scope. Venus, or no, the moon came out first. Beautiful first quarter moon. We observed a nice rebound structure on a large crater. I can't remember the name of it. It was not Morpheus, but something similar. M name. Tycho just out of frame, didn't see it. Then Venus shows up. The clouds obscured it, act like a perfect filter. Perfectly crisp first quarter Venus. Beautiful color. Awesome. Then Mars shows up. Deep red. Not much to Mars, but we saw it. Then Procyon is rising on the horizon, scintillating like crazy. If you're not familiar with the $10 word scintillation, twinkling, right? But we want to sound smarter than everyone, so start to scintillate. Just strobing red, green, orange, blue. Looked at it through the telescope. Awesome phenomena. I love capturing that. And then a nice ISS flyover to close out the evening. People didn't leave till 12:30. We had about 20 people on the field. It was awesome, enjoyable night. Good weather, minimal bugs. We actually saw something for the first time this year. So uh, next open house is going to be June. I wrote it down here somewhere. 24th. Starts at 8. Clear weather. Come on down. All right. The other stuff I have, so we had our discussion group at Wayne State Planetarium. You guys missed a fantastic night. I say y'all missed it because no one was there except for me and Dale Partin. But we saw some stuff under the planetarium. We talked about some geology. You really missed out. I don't have a discussion group for the rest of the year, so if you're interested in hosting any of the upcoming months, let me know. They can be fun. And then snacks, currently our board members are providing snacks, but that's technically not their job. So if we want the snacks to continue, please, somebody come to me. Tell me you'll bring something to somewhere. Uh, I think that's all I got. Do I have anything else that I'm responsible for? All right, good. We got a lot of stuff coming up at the observatory. We've got things that we're trying to fix, things that we're trying to upgrade.
We've got a message board.
Message board.
And if you've got anything cool that can go on this message board, it could be that big. This is what actually Jeff. Lego center. If you have a small, like, finder scope, it could be used or something cool, astronomy related that would go to this thing.
That you're willing to risk it disappears. Just because things can disappear. All right. Bob, do you have a
Did you check out the newly modified solar?
we did not. But I need to get some people that know it better than I to get out there early enough that we can actually start looking at putting everything together. So I'll get with you.
The whole thing?
Yeah. For those not in the know, we have a fantastic solar scope that the club buy that we're going to piggyback onto the main scope so that we can do some really nice solar observing before it gets too dark. I'd also like to mention, when it comes to snacks, you get reimbursed. So the treasurer, he'll give you money to bring us snacks. It's just the inconvenience of picking them up. That's all we're asking for. Yeah, a lot of stuff at the observatory.
Yeah. Yikes. A lot of stuff at the observatory. That's great to hear. So, Treasurer Adrian and Astronomical League, how much we got in the bank? So we are around the 30,000 mark, a little less than that. We wiped out PayPal on our behalf because we agreed to buy the message board. And so there was enough money in our PayPal account to instantly send him some money. So we're still sitting there. We have our petty cash, which, counting it would be a good idea, but it generally sits around 500 bucks. Please do not take that, or consequences will result. Other than that, Astronomical League, this is the last month to send a payment or sign up or find out if you have signed up for the Astronomical League. For those of us who are in the Astronomical League, like the V from a different group, this message may not apply to you, my dear friend, but the rest of us who would like to sign up through the Warren Astronomical Society, I will be sending in our roster on the final week of June. They are due that final week. The Astronomical League year goes from July of this year till June of next year. So they chop it in half, and that's just how they do it. For those that are curious about the Astronomical League, there are a lot of programs that you can get when you become a member. You can go to Baton Rouge, which is later this year. I think alcon.org is the website to check out. There will be an in-person conference. Last year, there was both in-person and virtual, and a couple of folks from your Warren Astronomical Society gave talks at the virtually at ALCon last year. So you consider becoming a member and consider driving out to Baton Rouge, and I believe it's July. But I gave the website out so that you and I could both check and get a firm date on when the conference will happen.
It's
And
late July, you're right.
it is late July. Okay, so you have to be careful. If you want to go to the Nebraska Star Party, that's mid-July, and then you go to Alcon, which is late July. And then in August, I'm sure there's something going on. And in September is the Okie Tech Star Party. So also consider travel to some of the darker sites and see the night sky, try to get away from all the smoke that we're having, because not only is Canada wildfires now, it is Grayling wildfires contributing to all the smoke. And of course, the moon is going to the dark side. So you know what that means. All of us who bought something during these 2 weeks of clear skies are now about to pay for it. So we'll see what the atmosphere does, if it whisks it away or not. Consider joining the Astronomical League. There are programs such as double stars, things that you can do even if the skies are not perfect. You can get certifications for having viewed certain double stars, certain clusters, certain Messier objects or Herschel objects. It goes from bright objects to the very faint and the very dim. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Bob for the next report. I was hoping to turn the volume up, but I see that he's got it up already. Well, most of you on the call can hear us. So that's all that matters. All right, so our Secretary Mark Tezier is not here tonight. He is handing out diplomas at a graduation ceremony, so that's pretty cool. Our outreach, Kevin McLaughlin, he is also not here tonight. So Dale Teamy is here for the first time in a long, long time. Hi, Dale. Our award-winning newsletter editor.
And I'm here to officially announce that our WASP is up online.
All right, with that, we're going to special interest groups, and our first one is going to be David Levy. And I'm going to hold the microphone up to the speaker on this stupid laptop so we hear you, David.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that I'll see some of you at Baton Rouge this summer. I will be there. And anyway, with your permission, I would like to read the poem that I wrote about Wendy again, because I've made some tweaks to it. and I'd like to give you another chance on it. Wendy amongst the stars. Each day I awake. Today is the day. I look towards her. She is not there. My heart goes on, but do I care? Will anything let in a ray? The night is dark as coal. The sky is stars from west to east. From south to north, just like a feast, a pill, heaven sent to calm my soul. A telescope stands, it stands and waits for my eye. It asks just one brief look, forward through space like an open book, and back through time, open wide its gate. I see a star, why is it there? Lapis philosophorum, philosopher's stone that strikes the night. It ushers me home as part of a pattern to learn. I dare. But reason not. General relativity. Gravity's geometry, no speck of thought. No idea works, no system bought. A newborn thought of creativity. She's part of me, a beam of light amongst the stars, in the sky a star. Not there, but there, her soul so far, from grief to joy, all through the night. Thank you very much, Bob, and back to you.
Thank you. Okay, Solar Marty, what's going on the sun?
Well, the sun is increasing with sunspots, and the number of sunspots and the size of the sunspots is also continues to increasing. Not necessarily the amount of flaring. There has been some flare reported, I think, last week. About pretty saw a flare, but the extra activity is not increasing that much. So, but it will be because we're still approaching solar maximum. So we'll get some good solar flares and auroral activity associated with it. Things.
Right, so bringing up SDO, I don't know if you guys on the web can see this, but yeah, lots of sunspots. If you want to check that out yourself, it's sdo.nasa.gov. It'll show you the sun now. Of course, my board meeting went away. Reading it. All right, double star, Riyadh, are you here? Riyadh, hi there.
Yes, I'm here. Hi there. Um, Actually, a couple of days ago, Saturday night, we had scouts at the observatory. We had two groups. The sky was pretty hazy, and there was, of course, the smoke in the upper atmosphere. But we were able to look at Saturn. At Venus, and also later on at night at the moon. So the kids enjoyed that a lot, and because of the discoloration of Venus and the moon, a lot of the scouts said it looked like a slice of orange. um, Everybody enjoyed that. I also later on was able to look at a few double stars, the ones that I could that could poke through the haze. Not many stars that you could actually see. But it was a decent night, and the kids enjoyed it a lot. That's all I have. Of course, the next open house, I'll have my list of double stars, and we can do some observing too. That's all I have. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Riyadh. A while back, somebody wanted to restart our radio special interest group. Is anybody?
Yeah,
He's out of town? So, okay, so there is still interest in that, and I'd be very interested to see something happen with that. Computers and technology, I did promise to get with our IT. Starting something on that, but I haven't yet. And I'd also like to see an education special interest group and a light pollution interest group started. So we need some people to start forming some groups and talking. So that's it for the special interest groups. Do we have any questions for our astronomers?
One point, Bob. Have we discussed at all the supernova in M101?
No, we haven't. Does anybody
Well,
know there's a supernova going on right now in the galaxy M101? It was discovered, what, last week, I believe?
on the
Is it
19th,
the
19th,
is it still visible?
it's even bigger now. It's getting even more. And if I
Wow.
could get to it, I'd show you a picture of it. But it is really is spectacular, and it only happened 25 million years ago. That's all. So, I mean, it originally blew up 25 million years ago. Pretty good.
And M101 is kind of near Alpha Voyager.
So it should be easily visible. So 8-inch telescope, you
Yes.
should be able to see this yourself.
You can see 101. You will absolutely see it because it is brighter physically than the center of the galaxy. So very, very, very cool. And it's on the outskirts and pretty spectacular. I actually have a picture. I can't get to it right now, but I have a picture of it before it happened and after it happened. And it's pretty damn cool. So
Yeah, I've seen it on social media. I've seen several
very,
pictures.
very, very cool. And it is there. And if you're on Facebook, you can find it. I did a whole
Pardon me?
speech about it. Go for it.
The picture's in the wasp, Dale says.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Good. Great. Super. I love it.
So speaking of astronomy news, did you see the announcement on social media about the possibility that there's a second Kuiper belt and that New Horizons was currently halfway between the two? Well, I saw the post on Twitter, and somebody said that during a New Horizons staff meeting, it was brought up that New Horizons is looking for another Kuiper Belt object to image and fly by, and they're taking a look at all of the different things that are along its line, and they're saying it looks like there's a second Kuiper Belt further out. And so I brought this up to some of the guys at the Vatican Observatory, and they're like, "You ever heard the Kuiper Cliff?" And I'm like, "No." He says, "There's a reason there's a Kuiper Cliff. And that's where the Kuiper Belt goes out and stops." So he says, I wouldn't put a whole lot of credit in that. Like, wow, so this birds fighting each other here. That's interesting. But so is there a second Kuiper Belt? There's obviously more objects out there, but enough to form another belt? Probably not. So just did interesting astronomy news there. Does anybody have any observatory reports? We had a full moon recently. Bob, please, yeah, let everybody hear. Bob has an observatory report.
Okay, this last Memorial Day weekend, Saturday and Sunday, there was an event out at Rochester Heritage Festival, sponsored by the Open Astronomy Club, which some of us are members of that club as well as this one. There also were members from our club here out there. Myself, was there? Ken Burton was out Sunday, couldn't make it Saturday, and John Bunulo, who actually ran the event. And we had over 1,000 people came by our booth. We had 5 astronomical solar scopes set up for both days, and we had spectacular views both days. Tom also had his radio telescope out there, and that was interesting to see. One of the scopes had a video set up on the large video screen to show live views of the sun. To me, though, the cool thing was on Saturday, I was looking through my telescope, and 3:30, almost exactly, through the telescope, most of you have seen through that, different colors of oranges, yellow, black, etc. All of a sudden, there was an extremely bright spot. I mean, bright. I mean, it looks like somebody took a hole out of the image. And I haven't seen that once before. Gary Ross and I were up in Cadillac a few years back. We saw a coronal mass ejection together, and that was the only time I've actually physically seen one till Saturday. And so Tom immediately got on his cell phone, hooked into the uh, government on real-time readout of the energy and everything. And sure enough, started out at 3:30, went on for about 15 minutes. So we had a lot of people at that event, especially a lot of kids who came over and told them, I'm 75. I just finally saw my second coronal mass ejection in my life. You guys are only 6 or 7 years old. You've already seen your first. I'm jealous. Okay, so sun is an active thing happening, new stuff every day, all the time throughout the day. So if you're interested in solar, check it out.
Like I've mentioned several times, the space weather app for these things. My phone's been vibrating off its table because of all the flares. Intended observing report. So one of the days this week, I went up to one of my spots to the north. Right after moon set, it was a crescent moon, and I knew that the sky, there wasn't much smoke in the sky at the time. I think it was around a week or two ago. And I said, okay, it'll be good time to get some fresh views of the Milky Way over Point of Arc Lighthouse Park. Most of you've seen the pictures I've taken there, and I like to refresh it. It is a 21.3 was the reading. 21.4 is the best reading I've seen there. And I did have a card in my camera then, which is to say, when I went to take pictures, there was no card in my camera and no backup cards to be found. So much to Jeff McLeod's delight, all I could do was stand there and watch and roll up the very visible structure of the center of the galaxy. It was getting crowded out by the light to the southeast. You could see the structure where the small Sagittarius star cloud is. You could see all of the Scorpion. You could see Sagittarius rising, and it got even brighter and more structured. So there, Lighthouse, the constellation Cygnus, and a very bright Milky Way overhead. And all I could do was stare because I had no long exposure camera and did not work as well. I also had a shot where you have the tower, the museum, the gift shop, and the crescent moon setting right between them. That's when I found out I didn't have a card camera. And when I went to take the picture with the iPhone, it did it no justice. So there we were observing 4 or 5 shots that will only reside in my mind because unless I try and wait till next month when it all starts over, but then will the moon be in the same place? No, it's going to precess. It's not going to fit directly. And no clouds and no smoke. All of this has to be in place. So sometimes astro imagers fail and fail miserably. Usually we have our cards, we have our backups. We go there. I drove almost 3 hours and got there in time, knew these were gonna be some pretty good shots. I've taken pictures with the Milky Way that bright before at Point of Arc Lighthouse Park, but you always hate to miss an opportunity. So all I had to do was look up. I did take a reading, and it's at 21 points. So compared to what you might get, the sky full of everything had started, so there was more light on the ground. Wasn't a very good place to observe. There was a ton of light kind of in the immediate area. But I'm a member of the Point of Arc Lighthouse Society, and I've been given the trick on how to turn the big lights off. So around the lighthouse, we can make it dark enough to actually observe, especially if you want to observe to the north or to the northeast, northwest. It's really good for that. You can also observe over you can observe over Lake Huron facing southeast, but after that, you start to get into the glow of the other lights. So it's a place that I'm looking to have a real observing event there. It's something I've talked about with the lighthouse staff, and it's something that would have to materialize at one point. Um, During the summer months, there's more light there, but you can still look at some
real decent. You can see some objects pretty decently out there, even with all the light. During in the winter, they'll, I don't know if I can attest to it. It gets pretty dark. And yes, I have a picture of the zodiacal light. I have a picture of the zodiacal light going over one of the rescue houses. And that was later in the spring when it was beginning to fade. And you can still see it. So that's my unintentional observing report.
Mission. A famous Adrian galaxy shot at Stargate.
Okay. Galactic center shot or
Best you can do. I understand it's not the best light.
well, we can a couple times there's been clouds. So we will do our best.
A few clouds. Apparently, some of our members have mad science technology that they can clear the skies. All right, so it's a little early, but we can do our short presentation now. Did we want to do that, Dale? We do our short presentation?
Can I use that? No. How can I like get up my HDMI?
Dale, Dale,
Yeah.
Dale. You
Yeah.
just need to make sure that you speak right into the microphone. If you move to the left or right, we lose you. Okay. Okay. Got it.
I could go to the website and link in that one.
Talk right into the microphone, Dale.
Give me a minute. We're trying to get set up.
Great.
I could kind of join the meeting if you want. Find a place to put this to get it working.
It's over there.
So let me anything else? I have to share screen, right? Where's that?
Yeah, we just have to put it this instead of the extension.
Okay.
Just duplicate the space.
What is it trying to get me to do?
You can close out of this.
Want to do it?
All right, so it sees it.
Good idea. Of course.
It's gonna just finish the mission.
Okay. I don't understand. What do I? What you're doing
How do
here?
I share my screen?
You are.
You're sharing already.
Well, you want to share it on WebEx?
This will do if they can see it on WebEx.
He's connected to the meeting too.
Okay, so this is your connection to the meeting.
Screen one.
Screen one. Yeah. And there you go.
Okay. Go ahead.
So Dale Partin is a member who probably needs no introduction, but we have some new people here today, so he asked me to introduce him. Dale Partin has been a member of the club for many years. He's been a board member for as long as I can remember. I think you maybe took a year off.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's quickly become one of my favorite people. He's gotten me out of a jam several times, so I try to do the same for him. He has several degrees. He actually has a PhD in electrical engineering, and he teaches astronomy at Macomb Community College, just not at the campus that we meet at, correct? Center campus, and he's been doing that for many years. He's a regular presenter as well, and tonight he is going to be presenting on the challenges of interstellar travel.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
So some people think there is no challenge to interstellar travel. The aliens are here already. They got here somehow. So this talk has no value because it's a settled problem. However, as far as us knowing how to do interstellar travel, the most distant spacecraft ever launched from Earth is Voyager 1, launched by NASA back in 1977. It's traveled 160 AU, astronomical units. That means it's gone 160 times farther than the Earth is from the sun. This gets it well beyond Neptune and the Kuiper Belt, which goes out to about 50 AU. But like out beyond the Kuiper Belt is the Oort cloud. It'll take another couple centuries just to get to the inner boundary of the Oort cloud. To get to a nearby star would take on the order of 100,000 years. That's sort of a long time. So how do you fix that? You go faster. New types of rockets based on nuclear power rather than chemical rockets are being developed at NASA and probably elsewhere. These rockets may get us to places like Mars about 3 times faster. However, 100,000 years divided by 3 is still a long time. So we need way faster travel to do interstellar travel. Suppose we could find a way to get to 0.5 C. C is the speed of light. Our current rocket technology gets us to about 0.01% of the speed of light. So half the speed of light would sort of be a big jump, about 5,000 times faster than we can do right now. If you could do that, the journey to a star 10 light years away would then take only 20 years at half the speed of light. At half the speed of light, time would sort of slow down for the travelers a little bit,
it would actually take 17 years using the clocks of the people on board the spacecraft. Is it possible to get a spacecraft going that fast? That's my question for tonight. I'm gonna have a look at physics and mathematics here. If you're not into that kind of stuff, just get the big picture. You don't have to get all the details. Is my cursor showing up? No. Okay, well, is there a way to make it do it?
Yeah, it's up there.
Boy, you need the touch. Thank you. Makes me feel like a real klutz, you know? Can't get the cursor to work. Okay, so here's an equation from basic physics. The kinetic energy of a car or a marble or whatever is 1/2 mass times velocity squared. Anybody that took high school physics saw that equation. If you get into Einstein's relativity theory, it's a little more complicated. The part of the equation in red is a correction of that based on special relativity. It tends to make the energy higher, the kinetic energy. So if, for example, a spacecraft traveling at half the speed of light had the mass of the Star Trek Enterprise spacecraft, which I found out was 190,000 metric tons. Here's what you put in the equation for M and for V. Kinetic energy in joules, which is a metric unit of energy, is 2.5 times 10 to the 24th joules. That's sort of a lot of energy. More than 4,000 times the total annual energy consumption of all people on Earth. And it doesn't matter what kind of rocket you use. It doesn't matter. If you can find a rocket that conceivably could get a spacecraft going that fast, that's how much energy you'd have to provide to the rocket. How would you possibly do that? So that's problem number 1. It's not the only problem. There's 3 problems at least. Problem 2, what if the ship hits something? So I went on my driveway, my gravel driveway, and picked up a few stones and went inside and weighed them. I found one that was 1 gram. You can see it in the palm of my hand there. Pretty small, right? 1 gram. An ounce is 28.5 grams. So this is a very small fraction of 1 ounce. What would happen if a spacecraft traveling at half the speed of light hit a 1 gram pebble?
Like a 1 gram pebble traveling half the speed of light hitting you.
Yes, that's exactly right. So the question is, how much energy would be released in that collision? Well, you use the same formula. Turns out that the energy would be this much, which is essentially the same as the amount released by the nuclear bomb dropped on Hiroshima. A 1 gram pebble getting hit by the ship. Need better shields, Adrian says. Yeah, a whole lot better. In fact, even 1/1,000,000th of a gram, basically a dust particle, would, if that hit the ship, would release the energy of a dozen sticks of dynamite. 1 microgram. The energies are just over the top here. Then there's a third problem. How do you slow down when you get where you wanted to go to some other star, you need to suck all of that energy out of the spacecraft, which means you need another 4,000 times the total annual energy consumption of everybody on Earth. Okay, those are sort of three of the bigger problems that would occur to me. So how would you possibly fix that? Well, you can go slower and use a smaller spacecraft. Suppose you cut the spacecraft mass by a factor of 10, and instead of going half the speed of light, let's say you go 1/10 the speed of light. Now traveling 10 light years would now take 100 years, not 17 years. There's not the relativistic change in how much time would pass for you is not a significant correction at that point. So this would still take 15 times the total annual energy consumption of everybody on Earth, not a negligible amount. And hitting a 1-gram pebble would now release the energy of 50,000 sticks of dynamite. But if you're going to travel in a smaller spacecraft, bear in mind we're not talking about traveling, depending on whether you're going to go half the speed of light or 1/10 the speed of light. You're talking about people being cooped up in this thing for anywhere from 2 decades to more likely 100 years. Okay, imagine being in a Greyhound bus with some other people for that long. You'd go bonkers, or your kids sure would. So you need a big spacecraft with a significant community of people, a society, right? And you can't make this thing small because you need thick, heavy shielding to protect you from cosmic rays, not to mention the occasional pebble, right? So one other approach is worth mentioning. Instead of starting off with all that energy in your spacecraft stored somehow, you could make a Gigundo interplanetary ramjet. Here's an artist's conception of one where you have this huge thing on the front end of it that scoops up interstellar hydrogen and fuses that to get energy. So you get your fuel, you're scavenging your fuel out of the interstellar medium. Problem is there's darn little hydrogen to be gotten that way. So as Carl Sagan once commented when talking about this idea, we're talking about making a spaceship the size of a world. And let's just say the acceleration would be really, really, really slow. Many, many centuries would go by before you got up to some kind of relevant speed here. And of course, you have to turn it around and slow down halfway to the next star.
Assuming you haven't hit a pebble.
Assuming what?
Assuming you haven't hit a pebble.
Yeah, assuming you haven't hit something. As big as this thing is, you'd be sure you would hit some stuff, right? So, conclusion, 1, interplanetary travel, contrary to all the science fiction stories that I always like to read, it's really difficult. And secondly, therefore, I have to say, it seems unlikely that aliens have been calling on us. Any questions? Yes.
What about Stargate?
What about Stargate?
Including transportation, wouldn't you believe that exists? Yeah.
Well, there are questions about a wormhole. I mean, to use a wormhole, if that's possible, you first have to get there. The nearest big black hole that I know of is 28,000 light years away. We're talking, I just discussed the difficulty with getting 10 light years. Now we're talking about just to get to the black hole at the center of our galaxy, that's 28 or 27,000 light years away. And then, of course, heading into the black hole, you'd be toasted with all the radiation from all the other stuff in that environment. And then you'd be ripped apart as you hit the event horizon, if not on the way to it. But in theory, if you could get inside, you might pop out of some other black hole. Well, look, from a science fiction point of view, you're welcome to think of anything you want. Any other questions? Warp drive. Look, NASA has people that think about all of these possibilities. Last I heard, none of the more advanced concepts are things you can talk about them, but nobody has any idea how to build one. There is work going on now on nuclear thermal rockets. They use nuclear energy to heat things up that come out of the exhaust a lot faster than that does from chemical rockets, which might get you to a place like Mars, maybe 3 times faster. Or nuclear electric. We use nuclear energy to power ion engines that are much more powerful. But all of that stuff, we're talking about travel inside the solar system being speeded up. They don't even touch the problem of going to a significant fraction of the speed of light and heading for another star system. Well,
I had one, Dale, I had one thought. I mentioned this
hello,
before.
you're too loud.
Can you hear me?
Too loud.
How about now? How about now?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was mentioning to somebody in the science field about the perhaps at some point in time we could capture the power that actually causes the universe to expand, which it expands faster than the speed of light. And he said that was an interesting concept. I don't know whether it's possible, of course, but it's a thought.
It's a thought.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
grant
about
you
it.
that. And powering the thing, which we don't even know what it is, and just slap a name on it like dark energy, like that means we know something about it.
We
Having
don't.
some idea of how to actually harness it and use it.
It's fantasy without question.
Yeah, put it on eBay, you know? So look, I can enjoy fantasizing about advanced stuff as much as the next person. It's enjoyable, but then there's also reality. Sorry about that.
Oh, I agree with you entirely, but I was thinking that was a potential at some point when we get the technology. Maybe we can. Who knows? You know,
Okay.
but I don't think so either.
Okay, we got another question here.
I just want to comment, Dale, that it sounds like we're about as far away from interstellar travel as Columbus was in travel to the moon.
Probably further.
The comment was, we're as far from interstellar travel as Columbus was in traveling to the moon.
Farther.
Okay, I'm gonna hang it up there. We gotta get moving on, you guys. Thanks for listening.
15 minutes. And have a good break. And remember, all the information are on those.
Yeah.
Bob, do you know when we're connecting again? What time? Bob? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Well, that's great. Okay. Anyway, I just was wondering when he was going to copy it on. I'm using my iPad and I want to shut it down for a few minutes, save some battery. Anyway.
David, have you been affected by any of the smoke and anything that's going around all over the country? David? Hello? David? It's Ken.
Okay, someone calling me?
It was me.
Oh,
Hold on. I was saying, have you been affected by any smoke at all or anything weird?
no, no, it's pretty clear. We have some high clouds today, but it's very nice and very hot.
Yeah, well, I know it's very hot. We've been having hot weather here too, but nothing. I was in Arizona, that too.
Yeah, we're not
cold.
really getting any effect from the Canadian fires or
I
the
didn't think
Great
so.
Lakes fires.
Yeah, well, we are. Have you had a chance to look at M101?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh? I think that supernova is really kind of special, So. I love the fact that it's been 25 million years since it happened.
Smash Bros.
Who?
19 Smash Bros.
Oh, okay. 19.
9.
Got it. Thank you. We're good. Thanks, Dan. I'm looking at 2.
We're all sitting patiently.
How's everybody doing?
We're doing fine. We're all sitting here patiently waiting.
There you go. How's it going, Penn?
And some not so patiently, right?
You sound real muffled, Ken.
Well, I'm actually on a field, a softball field,
Ah.
and I am the lead official, and I'm watching ball games. So there's a lot of side noise. So that's what
Gotcha.
you're getting. It's muffled in there. There's no question. But I might be able to get that a little better. Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, because there was a napkin underneath my eye. That's right. Okay. There you go.
The sun's very active today. 5 groups, 46 spots, and 15 prominences.
15 prominences.
Well, get your ass out there, Bo. Let's play.
I was hoping that coronal mass ejection would show up today and give us a little aurora borealis down here. It takes 2 days, I guess.
They were planning one, but Congress vetoed it.
Nice.
David, you understand what Congress people think, don't you? You know what they think? It's life, liberty, the pursuit of re-election. That's what it is.
Yeah, brought my 8-inch up to the cottage up in Harrison, mid-Michigan. Thinking, are we having all this sunshine? And now we're gonna have a couple of days, but it's getting cloudy.
Yeah. We have some clouds here in southern Arizona today. Not many, but 1 or 2.
It never gets cloudy in Arizona.
Well, it has been started now that the Republicans are in power. It's started to get a little cloudier. But not much. There's just a cloud here and a cloud there.
All right, we are getting ready to restart. Take it away, Dale.
Thank you.
Hi, Adrienne.
Hello, David. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, those who are online, please mute yourselves. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce Dr. Brian Odom. He tells us that he got hooked on astronomy a long time ago when he was 12 years old. Saw his first lunar eclipse. He has explored many aspects of astronomy. He had a remotely controlled telescope out in the desert. Now he's focused on live deep sky tours using a fast camera and a telescope. Excuse me. He lives near Ann Arbor and came out here tonight. He'll be with us live. He's a member of the Lowbrow Astronomy Club in Ann Arbor. He was actually here 2 years ago, July 2021. I guess here was in a virtual sense. We're talking about how to get started in astrophotography and maximize joy and minimize cost. I'll mention that a month from now, when we're back here at Cranbrook, he will again be our speaker. His topic will be enjoying the inky black skies of Big Bend National Park, Texas. Tonight, his topic is very timely: how to plan for the April 2024 total solar eclipse and photograph it. Brian?
Thank you, Dale. Thank you for the presentation. You're aware. Great. All right, we're going to start with some audience participation first. Whoever has seen a total solar eclipse, stand up. And people online, if I can see if your camera's on, just put your hand up. Okay, so we have quite a few people in the room here standing up. They've seen a total solar eclipse. Okay, now you sit down if you've only seen one. Keep your hands up or keep standing if you've seen two or more. Okay, if you've seen two, sit down. Okay, so we probably have our winner is going to be our online people. We got Mr. Levy. Yeah. So how many do we have here with Ken? Ken is 15. And Mr. Levy, Dr. Levy?
Yeah.
Quite a few. So we got two winners that were online. Okay, so just want to talk about the eclipse here, and those of us who are lucky to have seen one get hooked, and we want to see more, right? So I'm going to tell you about how to see it, how to share that screen. Well, I'm going to need some assistance on that count. But so total solar eclipse is the most impressive thing I've seen with my eyes, other than the birth of my children. So I don't know what other people might say, but it is something that once you see it, you get hooked. All right, and then I just advance the slides by doing this. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so we'll get right into it. I'm going to try to move along quick. I like to be provocative. I like to do things that make you think. And so we're going to be doing that. But yeah, like Dale said, I saw a lunar eclipse and I was hooked. I asked my parents, what is that? And they said, well, the moon is orange. I said, well, why? And I didn't get an answer, so that I had to educate myself. And then I got bigger and bigger telescopes until I found that I hurt my back. All right, that's what we do as astronomers, right? We get a telescope that's so big it hurts us and we can't own it anymore. So, that's what I did. And then, as he said, I got a remote control scope. That mine was on the left there, and I had a plane wave mount, and my partner had a huge 24-inch plane wave. That big one there is now in Chile and taking pictures down there. But I had a lot of fun for 8 years, but decided to sell it and do more stuff in person, because instead of sitting at my computer in the basement, I think it's more fun to be to see the whites of their eyes, right? To see people and hang out with the public and do fun things. So anyhow, that's what I'm off to doing now. And that's what at the bottom here, that's what I love to do, is have a fast camera, fast telescope, and it can show things like the North American Nebula in a 15-second exposure. So we do things like that. So I've always done that, but we're going to be talking about the solar eclipse. And my 3 lessons for tonight are: make plans to see it. Please, please, please don't forget, don't miss it. Help get your friends, your relatives, your grandchildren, and make sure that you see it. But keep it simple and keep it flexible. And there is a continuum of ways that you can experience the eclipse, depending on how much you want to plan and have things set versus your tolerance for unknown and possible stress, and yet possible reward. One extreme is, I just want to be sure. I'm going to make my reservations now. I'm going to put everything in place and have a plan, and I don't have to worry about it. That's one way you can do things, right? The other extreme is, I am going to go where the weather tells me, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to see this thing, because I'm not going to miss it. and you can do anything in between. So what I ask everybody is, think about this. Where do you stand? Are you on the low risk end of the scale or the high risk end of the scale? Is it okay if you miss it? Will you do whatever it takes to see it, which may involve expense and discomfort and stress? So that is kind of a philosophical thing, but really that underlies all your planning is what is your tolerance? What really makes me happy? And also, you're probably not going alone, right? You're going with other people, and what is their tolerance for risk and stress and all these things? But myself, this will be number 5 for me. I've seen 4. All 4 were clear. So maybe that's bad luck, but all 4 were clear, including the first one, which was North Dakota in February. That's just ridiculous. So, so this is the last one in 2017, and the picture does not represent the event. The picture captures the event in my mind as a memento. It reminds me of the event, but pictures cannot capture what your eye and your brain can, because the signal to noise ratio, that black and that white are 1,000th as different as they are in reality. Okay, that black hole in the sky is the blackest thing you've ever seen. And the corona is pretty darn bright. And the way it streams across, and to be able to see those little pink prominences with your eye, amazing. So yes, I love taking the pictures, and we'll talk about how to take the pictures, and you should take the pictures if you want to take the pictures, but they don't do justice to the real thing, in my opinion. So here we go. That's the path, and it's a nice simple graphic here. It starts down in the Pacific. It comes up through the middle of Mexico, and it's at its maximum length of over 4.5 minutes in Mexico. And then it cruises into Texas, coming about just after lunchtime. And then it gets up into Ohio at 3:15. 3:15. And I can provide this presentation for people who want it later. And I'll also be giving you you can take a picture of my resources, okay? Near the end, I'll have a slide. We'll have it on. You want to take a picture of it because it shows you all the good websites. Because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants here, Mr. Eclipse and Mr. Weather Eclipse, who are the best people in the world when it comes to eclipse planning. So like I said, Ohio 3:15 on April 8th, and then it cruises up across Lake Erie and then Lake Ontario and in Maine and then Nova Scotia. So that's the whole path, and so it's a wonderful path for us because it touches Michigan barely. Okay, so so the closest way to see it is Ohio. Okay, so let's dig into this a little bit more. But we've already talked about wipeout. There's not going to be another one for 21 years in the U.S. in the lower 48. We got 21 more years. So this one's in our backyard. Don't miss this one. Okay. But we have a reality here: the weather. So I'm going to talk about the weather here because this is the biggest factor when it comes to planning. This is April. April is a very transitory month with a lot of ups and downs in the weather, right? It's the springtime weather. It can be great. It can be horrible. We could have snow flurries. We could have 75 degrees in northern Ohio, right? Snow to 75. That's ridiculous. Okay, so this is by Jay Anderson. If you see in the bottom right corner, this man is wonderful, and he does the weather forecasts for eclipses. His website is eclipsophile.com, and I'm also showing that on the resources page that I'll show at the end. You saw this in the April Sky and Telescope because he and Mr. Eclipse both worked together and did a great cover story on the eclipse in the April Sky and Telescope. And this graphic was in Sky and Telescope. So basically what it's telling you is blue is good. Blue is 20% chance of clouds, 0.2. That's great, right? And then red is bad, 80% chance of clouds. Okay, you want to go to blue if you can. You do not want to go to red. Now that's, of course, this is a statistical average based on 100 years of data, right? So any one day can be different, and I will show you days. But things ain't great, okay? It's less than a coin flip, people, right? In a while, it's like a 30% chance, right? Clear. So kind of a sobering thought, but we'll dig in. This is a complex but an amazing graph that Jay Anderson also had in the Sky and Telescope article. And it's just a graph of that's what you just saw at the center line as it goes across the United States. What are the chances of having clouds? So right in the middle is a 50-50 shot. So lower is better, right? And so the best shot is Torreon in Mexico, which is about a 23% chance of clouds. So there's a lot of people going there, not a lot, but there are groups there. I saw that there was an RV caravan going. Anyhow, I'm not going to say any more about that. But as we get into Texas, you can see it heads into Uvalde, which was an infamous place, unfortunately, a year ago. And then it gets a little better after Uvalde, which is near San Antonio. And I heard talk to some people today who are thinking of going to that area. And so if you're in that area, you are a little bit better than a 50% chance of clouds. And unfortunately, then it starts to climb as it goes through Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. And it's pretty bad then, and it enters Ohio. At Lima, Ohio, there's a 75% chance of clouds. So, and that's one of the closest places to here, right? Right down I-75, very convenient place to go. 25% chance of clear. And as you can see, that just in general, then it just seems to get worse as you get up towards Quebec. So kind of sobering, because this is early spring weather. This is April 8th, and we can have anything from spitting of snow flurries to 80 degrees. We had 80 degrees about 12 years ago, during spring break time. I remember that. So the only other feature I'll tell you about on this is that take a look between Lima and Cleveland. What's going on there? As it goes from Lima to Cleveland, you got a much better shot. In fact, Cleveland is your best shot in Ohio, isn't it? And Jay in the article talks about the lake effect. During this time of year, lake effect means it's good. It's clearer by the lake. So there you go. That's one of my biggest recommendations for you is if you're going to head into Ohio, plan on going near the lake. If you're one of the risk-averse people who want to make a reservation right now, right? If you want to make a reservation right now, which you should, if you really are that type of person, I really want to get a place to sleep, I want to have that place, then I would make reservations right now in the Put-in Bay area or what do you call it? The Cedar Point. Cedar Point, lots of hotels. Okay. And another thing I recommend is that you get a hotel the night before and the night after. Okay. Then it's a low stress. You got a spot to stay. You don't have to fight the traffic. It's close by, and you got your best shot statistically, right? So that's a good low stress way to do the eclipse. Get reservations at Cedar Point. You could do a little better, as I'll show. If you want to head over closer to Cleveland, you get a little longer eclipse, but not that much longer, as you'll see. So that was surprising to me, this whole lake effect. It's clear by the lake. And so make use of that. Stay by the lake. So That's really an amazing thing there, going from Lima, Ohio to Cleveland. You've increased your chance of clear by almost 20%. Well, certainly 15%. So that's what you can learn by reading these things. Now, if we kind of zoom in very quickly, you can see in Texas, got the blue. As I said, blue is where you want to be. And where I'm kind of leaning towards is near Junction. Do you see that little Junction, Texas there? Yeah, it's higher level. And Jay in his article shows that it's more of a plateau. So it's clearer on that area. And going south of the center line is the blue line. That going south of going towards San Antonio is not good. So the best chances in general, on average, the best chances would be to get away from San Antonio and head up to the northwest. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing. But I'm probably the more risky person. So I'm willing to get in my little RV and drive. So that's the way I do things. So that's the way I did the last one. And actually, I had 3 reservations. I had reservations in Nebraska, Illinois, and Missouri. And 2 of them cost me money, and I didn't use any of the 3. I relied on the kindness of strangers at a church, and they put us up at somebody's house. So that's just a little snapshot there. But as you can see here, it's green pretty good through Arkansas. Now, if we go to the next part, suddenly it crosses the Mississippi River and things go downhill in a hurry. But you can see that it's green in Lake Erie. Lake Erie is green. That's that lake effect. So get near the water. You want to be in the water. Be in a boat. No, that's not a bad idea. A fast boat would be best, because then when you get up early in the morning, you can check the weather forecast and you can go where it's clear.
Tough on tripods.
It is tough on tripods. See, that's the whole thing. Do I want to see it or do I want to document it? Yes, it's good to document it, but like I said, you're not going to capture it in the spectacular brilliance that your brain does. Just saying. So that's the thing I want to leave you with around this one. It says lake effect. Get near Lake Erie. And then you get up further, not as much lake effect on Lake Ontario, slight, and not much chance of zooming up there to have good odds. It's actually worse. But the day of the show, it could be better. So what about day of show? Here we go. This is the day of the show 2 years ago. So this is at 3:15, time of the show, on the 21st of 2021. And what does this tell you? If I'd gotten up 2 mornings ahead of the eclipse and looked and saw this forecast, I would say, I need to go to Pennsylvania in upstate New York. And these types of charts will be available. You'll have forecast cloud charts like this available 2 days ahead, 3 days ahead. Although I wouldn't really rely on them more than 3 days ahead. I did that back in 2017 and put myself into a tizzy. Do not stress out about our forecast 10 days ahead. Do not stress about 9 days ahead, 8 days ahead, 7 days. Do not overreact. I got way stressed out, and really it's 3 days ahead. NAM forecast, you can really start to get some good accuracy there. Also, if you look at a bunch of different forecasts and they all start to agree, but if you look at the forecast and they all disagree, wait, okay? But if I saw this the day ahead or 2 days ahead, I would get in my car and I'd head up along Lake Erie, wouldn't I? Okay, so that is 2 years ago. How about 3 years ago? Oh, we're awesome. Awesome. Right, we're hoping for this, right? That would be just awesome. We got Indiana, Ohio. That would be fantastic. That's awesome. And then this is back in 19, and this is bad. This is bad. This is typical, but that's a bad day. This is I mean, this is where you just say, well, maybe we'll drive to Lima, Ohio and give it a shot. And I'm not going to go any further. If you're the type of who's going to take a risk, who hasn't already made their reservation. See, some of us will have already made the reservation. You're locked in. That's okay, because you're locked in. You have peace of mind. You don't have to worry about all the stress and the travel and all the people running around the last minute and the horrible traffic. So that's what happens when you have these various slots. So let me show you something I just found. And it's a video that shows 44 years. It was pulled up, right?
Yeah.
I can't see which icon it is. And this is produced by the University of Wisconsin, which is the best university in the world. And
Where did you guys live from?
yeah, I went to Wisconsin.
They did win in 1994.
Yes, and I was there. I've been to 4 total solar eclipses, 1 annular, a Rose Bowl, and a Super Bowl, and I won all 7 times. I'm 7 for 7, so I'm totally clouded out here. That's my prediction. But anyhow, what they did was they went back 44 years on April 8th at 3 p.m. to show you a video of 44 snapshots. And like I just showed you 3, right? Well, they have 44 here. So you can on your own time, you can go through this and play the video. You can see, what does it look like? What's a typical day look like?
So you shared just the PowerPoint presentation, so it's probably not going to share it.
That's okay. This is a minor thing. I can give it to you afterwards. It's just a video of 44 years of that same cloud snapshot. So
It consistently clouds over.
It shows a wide variety. It can be anything, right? It can be clear almost the whole track. It can be cloudy the whole track, and everything in between.
Like real life.
Like real life. And most likely there's going to be a big old cold front stuck somewhere. It's going to be over Arkansas and Missouri, or it's going to be over Ohio and Indiana. And if you're going to travel, you're going to be having to go 300 miles to avoid that thing. No, don't worry about that. We'll just get back to the PowerPoint. It's okay.
No, they can see it.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
We'll cruise it. We want to leave more time for discussions too. Okay, so that's that. So we kind of talked about this, right? The low stress versus the high stress. So the laid back is tomorrow. If you're the type of person who wants to keep things calm, make your reservations tomorrow. Like I said, Cedar Point Hotel, 2 nights. Bring all your equipment and you will have a place. You won't have to worry. One of the big things here is if you're trying to, bathrooms are a big issue here, because if you're trying to chase the eclipse or chase the open skies, you're going to have to be traveling and you're going to have to be going someplace out in the boondocks, and there's a lot of times there's no bathroom. And what's worse is that we're talking April, and so parks won't necessarily have their bathrooms open yet. Okay, so something so small like bathrooms, it's going to be an issue, but there's restaurants and places like that. The higher stress one, which I'm probably going to go down again, is you go mobile, like the WHO says, and you 2 days ahead, you get up early and you go to spotwx.com. Spotwx.com is what Jay Anderson suggests. I used it before. It's an awesome website. It's an awesome website for any astronomer at any time. You get like 10 different forecasts. 5 Canadian and 5 American, and you can click them. And all you do is you enter where it is on the Earth, in the North America. It'll give you the forecasts. And then the day of the event, you use the GOES, the weather satellite, which we just saw pictures of, right? So 2 days ahead, go to the forecast. The day of, use the clouds. Okay. Now, there's a lower and a higher stress version. The low stress one is sleep in your own bed. Get up out of your own bed at 5 a.m. that day, and you go where the weather tells you to go. And you say, I'm going to go to Pennsylvania. I'm going to go to Ohio. I'm going to go to Indianapolis. And you have a good chance of seeing it because you're going to go where it's clear, right? You can take your best shot. And you may not get home that night, right? I mean, if you are down in Indianapolis, it could be a significant ride home. Now, the high stress, which is the highest chance of seeing it, would be leaving the day before and going perhaps a little further. Maybe now this would take you to upstate New York. This could take you to Arkansas if you decide that's where you need to go. And so you have a much better chance of seeing it because you're going to where a clear hole will be, right? But you may not have a place to stay because these hotels are booking up faster than you can believe. I don't know if anybody did you raise your hand if you were involved in bad traffic at the last eclipse. The day after. Yeah. Right. The day before is heavy, but the right after and the day after are horrific. They're horrific. And if there's also construction or an accident, you don't get home. I mean, I heard stories of people taking 5 hours to go 100 miles.
5 hours to go 50 miles.
5 hours to go 50 miles. Yes. So please stay there. Wherever you are, stay there. Do not, and so if you can, stay there that night or stay somewhere closer or whatever it takes. Stay outside the eclipse zone, right? Go in the other direction, right? Get away from the center line. And so anyhow, so being flexible is good if you really want to increase your odds of seeing the event. Like I said, that is the higher stress, but higher reward option. Now we get into some detail. If you really want to get into Ohio, the blue is the center line, and the shaded area is going to be total. And outside the red, it's not total at all. What I want to show you here is you don't have to be right on the blue line. You do not. In fact, you should not. Please do not go to the blue line because that's where everybody else is going to go. Okay, and it'll be a mess. No restaurants, no bathrooms, nothing available because all these people are there. So it's too much. And what's good about this eclipse is nearly twice as long as the last one. The last one you really wanted to be closer to the blue line, right? Because it was a short eclipse. This one is almost twice as long. So you can be a little bit further away. How much further away? Well, here's your interstate, just to show you how you get around. And look, in the longest duration of totality is in this Norwalk, and it's 3 minutes and 54 seconds. Okay. Fremont, which is, I don't know, 30 miles away, 40 miles away, you're only losing 19 seconds. That tells me I don't need to be in Norwalk. I'm happy to be in Fremont. I'm also happy to be in Fremont because I don't have to travel as far and getting home is going to be easier. Okay, but going to Toledo would be stupid because you're only going to see 1 minute and 46 seconds. Now that's not, I'm sorry, I shouldn't just say stupid. What if it's clear? What if it's cloudy everywhere else, but it's clear in Toledo? Well, you were smart. You saw 1 minute and 46 seconds, whereas everybody else near the center line saw 0. And I included down here near Indianapolis in the center line, it's 4 minutes and 1 second. So you can see it lasts slightly longer as you go south. But that's not a reason to go south. So what this tells you is go close to the center line. Don't necessarily get on the center line. You're just fine 10, 15, 20, 30 miles away. And Mystery Eclipse's roadmap will also have this for you. But get this right here, you'll see the reference in the bottom right-hand corner. This gentleman has produced this free map here for everybody to use on the web. XJUBIER. He's from France. And I'll have him on the resource webpage for people to take a picture of. If you click on a place, he has all the data for that place. This is amazing. Free. Oh, by the way, don't plan on using this the day of, because you're probably not going to be able to use your phone if you're close to the center line. I'm not kidding. Don't plan on using your phone, because maybe texting, because you'll be out in the boondocks and your coverage is spotty in normal circumstances in the boondocks, but with all these people there on their phones, you're not going to be able to use your phone. And GPS works, but the map won't work always. Unless you download, there you go. Now, if you're smart, that's what you do. You download the section of the world where you're going to be. Now, that's a smart tip. Thank you, thank you. Download the Google Maps for the places that you think you're going, because you're probably not going to get cell phone service. Just plan on it. So, wonderful website here. This gentleman from France, fantastic resource. So now we're going to switch gears away from the planning and the weather. We're going to talk about taking pictures. So you may have seen this when I got this job at the beach. I took this and it's printed on metal. And so this is just a montage I took. And the thing about taking pictures also is how much stress do you go up there? Okay. If you've never seen one before, do not try to take pictures. I strongly, strongly recommend it. Do not try to take any pictures if you've never seen it. Just drink it in. Just let it wash over you. Do not try to take pictures. Maybe use your iPhone or Android to take a snapshot, but don't stress out taking pictures, because I've seen so many people just all stressed, mixing with the equipment, and they're like doing this, and we have the show of the lifetime happening here. Why would you want to do that? You get yourself all worked up. You're all scared. I did it myself. This is the Eclipse cruise, 1997, 1998. The Eclipse in 98. My whole family was on this cruise, and I had a nice fancy video camera. We're on the deck of the ship. Montserrat volcano was erupting here, throwing ash into the sky. The captain had leaned us right into a hole in the sky and showed the eclipse right overhead. The captain's counting down. Video camera quit. Stopped. I got nothing. Okay, so, but at least I saw it and it was beautiful. My picture from 17 with my phone is that picture on the left. And so the phone can get a very nice wide angle perspective shot. And that was an old garbagey phone. Nowadays, we have much better phones. Anything within the last 2 years, phones are really good. So I recommend that. You see in the middle, all the little crescents? Just get a piece of aluminum foil and poke holes in it. It's the coolest thing. Or you can, sometimes there's a little colander, a little hand colander, it's got the holes. You can have lots of fun with that. And then there's a partial on the upper right, and then the lower right, and another cell phone type shot. Very nice perspective. It's good memento. Okay, it captures the scene, which could be your objective, which is an attainable objective. If you want to get a picture of the corona, that's attainable, but a lot harder. So the low stress is, like I just said, use your phone. You can get those little tripods for what, $15 for your phone? Get one of those little guys. It's got flexible, flexible little bendy tripod for your phone. Fantastic. Just get that, and you can get some really good shots. And the newer phones will let you go manual some, right? You can increase the contrast, decrease the exposure. If you play with it, like taking pictures of the moon, yeah, do that. And video clips are awesome. And as Adrian pointed out, it can be embarrassing after you watch the video and have people listen to the video, because a lot of times people say things that are embarrassing, and they get excited and squeal and sound like children. So it can be, the videos can be great, and they're easy to do. Also, if you can do things that are just automatic, do that. No, I have fancy equipment. I'm an astrophotographer. I want to get a great picture that I can publish in the newsletter. Okay, then you're on the right side. You want to get a corona close-up, then you need a camera, and no need for Adrian to come up. And Adrian has generously brought his to show this is what he might be bringing for the eclipse. It's a camera. This is a mirrorless, but a DSLR. It works well with a nice long telephoto. It's great, and an intervalometer, basically a remote shutter. And this could just go on a tripod, and a tracker would be nice, but if it's not a huge lens, you could get by without a tracker. Okay? But if you have a longer lens, then you need the tracker, then I have to kind of polar align, and now we're down the road of, oh, that's a lot of work, right? And it may not go well. But so you can go ahead and do that. My advice is don't stress out. Don't do it to the point where you're diminishing your experience. This was my rig last time, and probably will be my rig this time. You can see the compass there. The compass helps me point to what's roughly north. I don't have to be perfect. That's only a 400 millimeter telescope. And the little right angle thing, eyepiece thing, really makes it easy to focus. But that is a very portable, easily set up rig. And the solar filter is the same as what Adrian has here. It's just a little solar filter cap. You just put it right on it. You can pull it off quickly, because pulling it off quickly is important, right? Because when the diamond ring happens, you want to yank that off and start taking some cool pictures. So you can use many different things: a telescope or a telephoto lens. Also, the jug of water keeps things more stable, right? No more vibrations. But it was so low to the ground that I almost tore my hamstring just before the eclipse. I was in pain. Actually, I was in pain during the eclipse because I was leaning over on this thing, and I got up and like, oh. All right, this is a wonderful website from the American Astronomical Society, AAS, and it's got tons of resources. It's fantastic. And I just focused on the fancy photography software, because if you want to get, let's say I'm really aggressive, I want that shot, right? I want that shot. Well, that's an HDR layering type of picture. What you do with that is you take very short exposures all the way out down to long exposures, and you put them all together using software. So cool. But that takes some fancy software to fire that camera automatically, so you don't have to, so you can enjoy it. Well, how do you do that? Well, they list some of the automated eclipse imaging software right here. The Xavier UVA, he's the guy who did that fancy map. He's got it, and you can see there's for Windows, and there's even for Android, Eclipse Droid for Android. Now that one is very intriguing for me. But like anything else, get it now, start playing with it. Don't wait until the week before to do this stuff, because we tried to get a drone launched before the eclipse and had never done it before. We were on the phone with the manufacturer just as the first contact was happening. Not smart, not smart. So practice, set up early, be creative, especially wide angle. When I was at my first eclipse, it was in North Dakota in the winter, and the shadow bands were going across the snow. It's the coolest thing. If I had gotten a video of that, that would be spectacular. And I think with my current phone, I could have just gotten a picture of it, a little video clip. So video clips are way cool, being creative, but don't try to capture it. As I said before, if it's your first one, do not try to get pictures. Don't do anything that's new or unfamiliar. Make sure you're thoroughly familiar with everything you got, and don't just wing it. Have a plan. In fact, have a stopwatch, right? At home, 2 weeks ahead, have a stopwatch. Say, I'm going to do this. I got 4 minutes. I got 10 seconds. So that's what it takes here, because it's a finite amount of time, and luckily it's 3 minutes and 50 seconds, so that's pretty good. But got to be ready. And if you practice, you might capture a picture like this. Mr. Eclipse was our speaker at Astronomy at the Beach back just before the last eclipse. And he said, practice, practice, practice. So the next night, I swear, I got my rig out that you just saw a picture of. And I saw this airplane going over. I was taking pictures of the moon, because if you can take pictures of the moon, you can take pictures of the eclipse. And here comes this flight from Louisville on Delta Airlines. So that was just pure luck. But the point is, you got to practice. Tips and tricks. Buy those solar filters right now. Okay, don't wait another minute. If you need solar filters, buy them tomorrow. Seriously. Buy any equipment you want. Buy it right away. Buy it tomorrow. Don't wait, because this stuff's going to sell out. A quick solar filter on and off. You want to be able to yank it off quickly, and at the end of the eclipse, you want to be able to put it back on quickly, because it's cool at the end to see that tiny, tiny, tiny little sliver of the sun get bigger. Now, it's not as spectacular as the totality, but it's still really cool to see. Stake out your territory with caution tape. This is something Mr. Eclipse does. He actually has, he's serious about taking pictures. If you're serious about taking pictures, you stake out your territory. In fact, you're better off doing it the night before. Get to where you're going, right, on the shore of Lake Erie. Stake out your spot. And so the next morning you get there and you can set your stuff up. You don't want people kicking over your tripod, right? Assign a timer. There's somebody in the group who's going to be shouting out what time it is and doing a countdown. Very important if you can do that. Or maybe there's a way you can have, there'll be an app to do that, right? So get an app to be a timer, both to count down the start, and probably more important, count down the end, especially if you got a group. So either use software or have a person do this for you. Backup plan, have a backup plan for everything. Your travel, your food, your bathroom, and your camera and everything. Bring food and water. You got to be self-sufficient. And if the weather indicates you're going to be outside for a long time, probably during that day, and there's a good chance it's going to be cold. If it looks like it's going to be cold, you need long underwear, wool socks, warm clothes, because you're probably out there and it's going to be windy. So these are the things I've learned after doing this for a few of these. And here's the helpful guides. If you want, you're free to take a picture of this. Eclipse file, which I misspelled on the earlier slide. It's O file. That's correct. That's J. Anderson's weathers. So you want to have all that weather stuff. That's the first one. And the second one is the gentleman from France. It has the spectacular free map, which will show you the length of totality at any place along the track. Mr. Eclipse is Ken. What's Mr. Eclipse's name? Fred, not Ken. Fred Espinek. Wonderful, wonderful.
Ken Bird is a close second.
Ken is a close second. He is our Mr. Eclipse here at WAS. Yeah, that's correct. And but anyhow, Fred's gone to all those eclipses and photographed them, and he's an amazing resource, and that's his website. And that AAS public website is the next one, which has just tons of resources of all different types, and I strongly recommend that. And then finally, I discovered this yesterday. EMA, I think it's the Emergency Management Association of Ohio, is getting ready for the eclipse. They have a fancy website for the state of Ohio. And it's really great. It's good for planning. And one thing I thought was pretty cool is you can click on it and it gives you a map of all the observing locations they're pushing you to in Ohio. So they're pushing you to parks. But one thing I forgot about, fairgrounds. The bathrooms of the fairgrounds might be open in April. So I really like the idea of and every county has fairgrounds, right? So take a look at that. Take a look at that. It's really, really good. If you're planning on being in Ohio. And lastly, don't forget to see it, but try to keep it simple and be flexible, and you'll have a better time than if you try to do too much. So we should turn the lights up and I should take questions because I know I've been provocative and I know you're going to have questions if you're still awake up there. Yes.
I have a question about weather.
Okay.
I went to Wyoming for 2017, and there was high cirrus clouds, but not much. There was a view. I noticed right when it started to darken, clouds seemed to dissipate back to the normal. Is that a thing? Is that like is some sort of thermal effect that this is? Potential saving grace for people. It's like, oh, it suddenly cleared up right in totality or something.
Should I repeat that for people? Yeah. Okay. The question was that he observed at the last eclipse in Wyoming, there was a high deck of high clouds and they seemed to abate during the totality. And I heard other people say this too. Now, I'm not a meteorologist, but it could be that the cooling up there could cool down the clouds and make them less transparent, less opaque. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we think that was what happened. We agree with that.
That's a great observation. Yes, and it only takes a small hole in the clouds for you to see the whole 4 minutes. You don't need everything. You just need a little hole.
And if you really want to do it right, and I'm going to tell you this straight out, I've seen a lot of eclipses, and one of the nice things about a solar eclipse is if you stay away from your camera, you're probably better off if you've never seen one before and go buy a picture from somebody else, because you're not going to believe what you're going to see with your naked eye. And as you said, the eye sees the entire range of the solar spectrum, but the visible spectrum, but a camera does not. You got to stop it down. You got to change all the things on it. Watch the darn thing the first time you do it, and if you go to the next one, take your camera. But you do not want to miss what you see with your naked eye. It's magnificent. Sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to just put that out.
That's good advice.
Here's a question along those lines. There may be some first-time viewers that are still not going to want to look at it naked eye. And I happen to have it on my phone recording, and a lot of people watched it on my phone instead of in real life looking up at the eclipse, or even through the telescope. What are some ways we can encourage the public to just look at it and throw away some of those old myths?
Yes, Adrian made an observation that he has observed that some people will be afraid of looking at the eclipse because they've been told never look at the sun. And so they won't even look at totality during those 4 minutes. They will not look, and they will look at a screen that's capturing it. How do we deal with that? Well, during the moment, it's kind of hard to do that. Hopefully ahead of time, you can chat with them. But some of the best views I've seen are through binoculars at those prominences, during the eclipse. That was just mind blowing. But
the corona is no brighter than the full moon. It's perfectly safe to look at.
I think that's really helps diffuse the worry. Good point. Good point. Good point. Yeah.
If you take a full moon shot, you're setting to. And Fred Astronomical had.
Right, and that's what Fred Astronomical website. Yeah.
If you're stuck.
Okay, thank you.
Think about the full moon.
Yeah, think about the full moon and that it's really not any brighter than the full moon. Yes. Question back?
When exactly is it safe to look at it? It's totally covered.
When is it safe to look? It's pretty obvious. I mean, that curtain comes down pretty fast. It gets notably darker as soon as that last Bailey's bead goes away. If there's a diamond ring and some, you'll be tempted to look, but I would try not, because then you'll have a burn spot and then you will kind of miss the rest of the event. So it'll become obvious that the shade has come down. It's pretty dramatic there. Just the transition is just seconds, like 5 seconds between the Bailey's beads, just, and so between sun and dark.
If you're wearing the glasses, it gets pretty dark. You can't see anything. You have to take the glasses off.
Right. If you have your solar glasses on and the sun is gone, it's okay to rip them off.
So it's your first eclipse you don't worry about. If it's your second or third, you may hear crickets. Notice how the whole.
You did say 20 to 10, right?
20 to 6.
I'm sorry.
Yes, and so.
Yeah, and it's like if you're taking pictures for the first time, and it is dark, and if there's something you have to adjust on your camera, all of a sudden you can't see.
Yeah, the point is, during totality, it's hard to see the settings on your camera.
Yeah.
And so all this practicing you may have done is out the window. So yeah, be very careful there. But Adrian made a good point also, is that maybe you can call out to the group, hey, notice I hear crickets. Do you hear crickets? And I did in Kentucky the last time I heard crickets. It was amazing. And the temperature dropped probably 10 degrees. It was amazing. Yes, it was. I was in Kentucky and it was super hot. I was sweating. It was miserable. And then once the totality came, it was like, oh, this feels pretty good.
Don't be too many crickets in April.
Yeah. How about those tree frogs?
Yeah.
They start squeaking about then. Yes, question, Dale.
Last time, 2017, a lot of people bought these dark glass or plastic things you could look through directly at the sun when it was not totality. And afterwards, I think I remember reading that somebody was selling those things that were not actually adequate protection.
Yes, last time there was dangerous stuff sold on Amazon. Yes, dangerous stuff that really wasn't fully filtering the UV rays of the sun and could cause damage. Yeah, so we really have to be careful what we buy.
I tell people that if they have solar glasses from 2017, they might be souvenirs and not solar glasses anymore, depending on the ISO number.
Okay, so yes, this is critical stuff. Solar filters and solar glasses are perishable.
They're expirable?
They're expirable, yes. And so look at the ISO number on your solar glasses and then go online and see if they're still good.
Yeah.
I know they do go bad, and especially if they've been handled.
Not yet. But they were cheap after they.
They're pretty cheap right now. I bought like 50 of them for less than $1 a piece. Just the ones with a card, just a card, you hold up like this. They're less than $1 a piece. Rainbow Symphony. They've been around for 50 years, right? That's a great spot. Yes, question?
Solar filter for a stove or a stove.
Yeah, using a solar filter for like a 4-inch telescope, that's great. That's a little tougher, I think. I think that's a little tougher. As long as you kept it nice. Those things though are they're sensitive, and if it's been abused at all, it's easy to cause little pinholes. So test it. Hold it up at a distance and make sure there's no little pinholes or bright spots. It doesn't cost much for a new one.
Right.
Yes.
Two things. Now, don't wait until right before to try to find the filter or glass because nobody will have.
Yes. Don't try to buy them just before. Get them now because they're going to sell out.
You bet.
Pictures of my scopes, they got great pictures. But the coolest picture I got was actually I had an action cam. A little small, like you use it in a car or sports.
Like a GoPro camera you had?
You put that on a little small tripod. I put that in our group of about 300 people with this fucking out there. I put it in the far corner, just aimed at the sun with a wide lens, forgot all the people get the sun there, right? The sun itself was just a little teeny small circle, which is not that important. But the stuff coming out from all the people talking, all the interaction, and the different languages that people.
Wow.
Then when it actually starts dimming, all these people get excited. They all start doing all kinds of curious things, everything. And put that on YouTube. I said, that was, to me, was really cool. That was like being there. Yeah, it's just, if I was there, that's, people went crazy. They're all around whooping up and doing calisthenics.
Yep.
I remember if you're, he was our, after that, this program, right?
Are you,
Could you hear that, Ken?
yeah, I did. Are you planning on going to the annular eclipse? I'm going down to Albuquerque to see it.
No, annular eclipses are like kissing your sister. Not worth
That's
buying.
okay. I like them anyway. They're cool.
So I'm debating. It's at least the one. It's huge. Star Wars, one of the Star Wars tried to simulate one, but they had that star block the sun before going to flag simulated it. So it's really.
Anything else?
You were
Well,
great.
thanks, everybody. Yes, good questions. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Brian. I have to mention that many years ago before COVID, Brian gave a presentation at a TangoCon, which is a local science fiction-ish kind of convention, and his presentation was at 11 o'clock at night, and he accessed those telescopes he used to have, and he tracked a satellite. It's the first time I ever seen that done, and that just blew me away. So it was very, very cool. So anyway, our next meeting is Thursday, June 15th, which is next week, because the first Thursday was last week. Yeah, it'll be in person at Macomb in room 208 in the E building. We have been meeting afterwards here at the Coney Island on Old Woodward. That's 154 South Old Woodward. Yes.
Meeting here is July 3.
Yeah. First Monday, I don't know. Yes, it is July 3rd. With that, thanks for coming and have a good evening, everyone. All right, shut this guy, leave it for a minute.